Okay, Jill Ponzi, class of 2016.
Okay. How did you first get involved with the OATA?
It actually started, I want to say 1992. I had kind of put my name in or said I was interested in being the Central District rep for the newsletter. And that kind of started my involvement with that. Then I became the newsletter editor. And right about that time, it was during Tony Ortiz was president of the OATA, and he felt like was really important that the person in charge of the newsletter, which was the information going out to the membership, was in attendance at the executive board meetings. So when they would meet face to face in December, and then again at the OATA meeting in May, I got to sit in and be a part of those meetings, and I picked up quickly and learned quite a bit about how the association ran. I wasn't really there as an officer or anything else, but as people know me, I tend to throw my 2 cents in here and there, and so I was allowed to kind of do that, and it really sort of sparked my interest not only in the association, but just within our profession in general. I think when you attend those meetings, you see a little bit bigger picture and are able to realize that all of athletic training is not what you experience within your work setting. So from there, I was able to put my name in as the District 4 newsletter editor, and that started kind of my journey through District 4. Again, we were in attendance at all meetings, executive board meetings, and then I became interested in becoming an officer. So I ran for office in District 4. I was a secretary for a couple terms. That put me on some national committees. So it all kind of started with Central District Rep as newsletter and just sort of stemmed from there.
Gotcha. Great. What is the biggest change you've seen in athletic training?
The biggest change, I think, has to be the curriculum route. I went through an internship program, which, looking back, I'm thankful for that opportunity, just because that's the type of program I personally needed. Now that's not really an option for anyone. So just the education that our athletic trainers receive now is such, I feel like it's a much higher level. I've always felt like the profession gives us tools to do a lot of different things, and I think that's why you'll see an athletic trainer in maybe a non-traditional athletic training role within a company or an organization based on all the tools and all the things we learn in being an athletic trainer. It really prepares us to do a lot of things. I would have to say the education piece is probably the biggest change that I've seen. Unfortunately, I still have to explain what an athletic trainer is. I guess I don't know that that'll ever go away, but I hope that we continue down that path of taking those opportunities to really teach the public about what we do, that we're good at what we do, that we are knowledgeable about what we're doing, and that we can be utilized at a much greater level, and we can do a lot of good things in that employment setting.
Okay. Actually, kind of going off of that, if you could change one thing in athletic training, what would it be?
That awareness, I feel like that's still a struggle. There are other professions, and everybody seems to know what those are, and we still sort of feel like we have to explain ourselves. That part, I think I would change that. If that path were a little bit easier, I think the opportunities would have opened up for us. Years ago, we've really had to kind of battle and fight to be recognized as the health professionals that we are. And I think a lot of it's based on our history. I mean, if you look back at some of the people that really paved the way, they weren't just an athletic trainer. They were often an equipment manager, and they oftentimes took on many other roles within like a university or a high school setting. And so we sort of got used for 2 and 3 and 4 positions, and it wasn't just a focus on the medical side. So
do you have any pearls of wisdom for younger members?
I would say take opportunities that might not seem like opportunities. So always take an opportunity to share about who you are, whatever your setting is. Oftentimes we're the experts in the room, but we don't do a good job of letting people know that we know how to handle things and we know what we're talking about. Put yourself out there, get to know the people that you work with. So if you're in a company, a clinical setting, make sure some of the people higher up know who you are and know what you do. If you're in a high school setting, go to a booster club meeting. Take opportunities to speak with parent groups or to go over and hang out with the moms when you get an opportunity. So just kind of putting yourself out there. Don't be afraid to talk to people about what it is that you do and to really develop personal relationships.
Okay. Great. What is the one quote you are known for or phrase you have repeated throughout your career?
I thought this was a tough question. But I wouldn't necessarily say that it's a quote, but I've always sort of worked or kind of managed the situations and things I've done, because I've done a lot of different things. I'm shaking your table, aren't I?
Nope.
Is that everything happens for a reason. So the job I've had, the difficult coach I had to work with, the even difficult parent that didn't necessarily agree with the process, the kids that we come into contact with. I just think that our journey is not by mistake, that people are put in our lives for a reason. We have we take jobs for a reason. We might end up figuring out that was not the best fit for me, but we learned something about it. I think athletic trainers are always trying to make a situation better. So you take a job and you see maybe what your athletic training room looks like. We always want to make that better. We want to make it better for not only ourselves, but our kids and the school that we work for. And so taking what you're given and realize that it might not be where you want to be right now, but there's a piece that you need from that particular experience that's going to help you down the road.
What are your favorite memories from being involved in the OETA?
There are 100. So I was trying to think how I could recap this. I have been on the PEC for a long time, the Professional Education Committee, the planning of the meetings. There were many times we used to have face-to-face meeting a couple times a year in planning for the state meeting. So piling in the car and driving 2 or 3 hours wherever the meeting was, and just getting to spend a whole day with 4 or 5 other people. Also athletic trainers on the committee. Those were fun times. Being on that committee also, we had to show up early, so we were showing up on Wednesday night or Thursday to prep for that weekend's meeting. There were several occasions that we were putting pipe and drape up for the exhibit area at the wee hours of the morning. Coordinating that. Those were some really great times. And stuffing envelopes in Bill Cooley's classroom when registration used to be through the mail. I used to literally cut and paste out and put together the newsletter that was hand delivered to the print shop to print, and labels were put on. Again, Bill Cooley made all that magic happen, and they were put into the mail. So there have been a lot.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Great. What is the biggest challenge you've seen or experienced in your career? And that can be personally or just for the profession of athletic training in general.
So I think one of the first challenges was being a student at Ohio State. When I started there, not quite 100 years ago, but in 1985, women weren't allowed into certain facilities, and we weren't allowed to work certain sports. And so that kind of sets a tone for, I think, feeling like not necessarily I had to prove myself, but I had to work a little bit harder. When my first job was out at a high school, I was by myself. I covered 2 high schools I was one of 6 athletic trainers in Columbus Public, and we covered 15 high schools. So um, having to have a coach understand that, me being on the sideline, no, I didn't personally play football. I know a handful of the positions, even to this day, after all these years of covering football. I don't necessarily understand the that the game, so to speak, of that, but I understand the medical side and the injuries that can occur and what it's going to take or what my athlete needs to get back onto the field, and just kind of having to prove myself in situations that I don't know that ever really went away, because I don't know. I mean, a lot of high school athletes have had female athletic trainers in their high schools, but you still don't always tend to see women within higher college programs and into the professional leagues. And so watching that happen has been exciting to see that finally women are being given the opportunities to work and to do what we do, because we're just as good at it.
What is the best part about being an athletic trainer and being in part of the OETA?
Well, the best part of being an athletic trainer is, honestly, we get the best seats in the house. So if you're someone that enjoys sport or enjoys watching sport, we kind of get a front row seat. I think the relationships, my involvement not only at the state level and knowing people throughout the state of Ohio, doing things at the district level, meeting athletic trainers from 6 other states, those committees spilling over to national, and being able to go to an NATA meeting and walking through exhibit hall is kind of a joke, because I see and run into people that I've been on committees with before, or I've had an opportunity to get to know them through other people. So I just think that's a really great feeling. Networking, knowing about positions and jobs, being able to help a student meet someone in another part of the country and end up getting a job or taking a position in grad school there. I've been able to see that happen. Again, I think it goes back to the people. And when I was on the professional education committee, I really got to see that state meeting from the other side. So from the facility to the planning to the speakers, I mean, getting to be a part of all of that for that 2-day meeting. And also then being exposed to what other states do, and even what other districts do across the nation. And I realized very early on that within District 4, Ohio was definitely a leader. We did things first. We kind of paved the way. People were trying to model their programming after what we did. And then even within District 4, or within the nation, District 4 has always sort of been a leader. A lot of the athletic trainers that paved the way and made it happen in Ohio, that really trickled up even to the national level. And I don't know that a lot of people are aware of that or realize that.
Okay.